Thank you, Chair.
Of minutes. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from the December 13th meeting.
Second.
All those approve say aye.
Aye.
All those that disapprove? None. Motion passes. Okay, on now to the annual report for discussions.
Hopefully the commissioners have looked at the annual report and have any questions or want to make any amendments. You can speak now and do that, and we can bring it back to have it approved for January 31st. If there's no comments or discussion, then we just need a motion and a vote.
Okay. Commissioners, entertain a motion.
I'll move that the annual report be approved as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, on to the consent public hearing discussion and possible actions for items A and B.
With Development Services, Planner 3. I'm going to be reading consent items A, and Andrew will be reading consent items B. The only item on consent item A for plats is 100 South Padre, Block 1, Lot 5 and 6. It's a final plat. It is located north of Old Brownsville Road and east of South Padre Island Drive. The plat is meeting TRC comments and the Texas Local Government Code, and staff recommends approval for this item. If there are any questions at this time, they can be asked.
Thanks, Mark. I'm going to go ahead and read in the consent items, just for the benefit of our new chairwoman for the evening. Once the consent items are read in, either the commissioners have the opportunity to poll if they want a specific item, going through the full presentation, of course, answering any questions. If not, at the conclusion of the list, typically the commission can answer or ask any questions as a whole, and then, of course, we'll have public comment for each of the items. So beginning on item B for number 4 under new zoning case 122301, Thanksgiving Homes. This is a request on Sabina Street from the RS6 Single Family 6 District that currently has a special permit to the RSTH Townhouse District. Item number 50124-01, Jonathan Ferduzzo. This is a request on 19th Street from the RS6 Single Family 6 District to the RSTF 2 Family District, also known as duplexes. Item number 60124-01, John Tompkins. A request on Running Light Drive from the RS6 District which is single family with the island overlay, to the RMAT, which is a multifamily district, also keeping the island overlay. Number 7, zoning case 0124-03, Senate Corp Foundation. This is a request on Cantwell Drive from the CG2 General Commercial District to the IL Light Industrial District. Item number 8 is the one that has been withdrawn by the applicant. So moving to item number 9, 0124-05, Corpus Christi Corridors. This is a request on Yorktown Boulevard from the CN1 Neighborhood Commercial District to the CG2 General Commercial District. Staff has reviewed all of the zoning cases, read into the record, and recommends approval. If there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to address them.
Any commissioners have any questions for staff?
I have a question on number 9. On Yorktown, is there other CG2, or is this going to be the only CG2 in the middle of Yorktown?
Excellent question. So that when we did the original zoning case a couple of years back, that's the very question we struggled with. There are pockets of CG2 that bridge the gap, starting all the way from a pocket at Everhart. And as you know, Yorktown covers a wide berth. So starting at Everhart, and it truly picks up between Staples and Cimarron is the core of CG2 that exists. So you end up with a hodgepodge of CN1 and CG2. What ends up happening is those CN1 districts that end up turning into shopping centers are limited in the types of businesses they can have them when their neighbor is at CG2 and has allowed many more marketable types of businesses that they can have. So we found this way of kind of balancing and allowing more CG2 to come in since it fronts on a major arterial, and that is why we're supporting the CG2 district.
Is it typical to have a CG2 backing up to residential homes so close?
They will have to put in a buffer yard, so there is an existing fence. They may have to add a few more trees, but it is not atypical. It's not ideal, but we're working essentially with what the situation, the cards were dealt, which means we have a massive corridor, and then one lot deep is the beginning of residential subdivisions. Typically in traditional planning, you'll have some type of buffer of offices or apartments. In this case, it doesn't exist. They're existing conditions, so we're doing our best to present more opportunities for the applicant and asking for that little bit of increase of buffer yard to maintain that separation from the neighborhood.
Okay. And it looked like there was no opposition by any
None
neighbors.
whatsoever.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions for staff? And I entertain a motion.
Open a public hearing.
Sorry. Okay, then I'd like to open the public hearing for any one of these, from items number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. Have none, so I close the public hearing. And oh, I'm sorry.
You need, if you'd come up to the podium, please, and state your name. Sorry, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Barton Elms. Which classes? Age. The item number 7232055, the one at 80 Cantwell Drive, it's going from a CG2 to Industrial Light District. Wondering what that all encompasses. I own a warehouse next door to it, so it's not going to be a warehouse, but the plan is for that piece of property.
Sure, I can address your question, sir. I appreciate you asking. So the applicant is requesting the light industrial district to convert that existing building into a drug and alcohol treatment center. Currently, it's zone CG2, which doesn't allow that type of use. Ironically, it was down zoned to allow the nursing home that used to be there. And
Yes.
with the closure of that home, what we like to promote as a city is what's called adaptive reuse, meaning we don't want folks to have to tear down buildings if there is a reasonable use that can come in and reuse the same space. So in this case, the applicant is proposing to convert that building, which was designed for inpatient, to a drug and alcohol treatment center. It won't be an inpatient, it will be outpatient. But they can convert that structure. But in order to do that, we have to change the zoning back to light industrial, which is what the entirety of the neighborhood around it is already zoned.
And light industrial, that allows pretty much anything, obviously. Other than like
Almost
building
anything, not everything, but several uses are allowed in light industrial.
Is it going to be similar to like the stuff that Oliver might in outpatient place there?
Yes, it's the exact same company.
Okay, so that's my next question. Okay. What's the time frame?
The timeframe for opening, they'll of course turn in a building permit, and that takes a bit of a time. It's not going to be years down the road, but of course as they transition, so I foresee we'll see a permit fairly soon of how the remodeling will take place.
So the only concern I have is foot traffic from tenants from the air to the remote end one. So a lot of buildings are that part of the
That I'm not fully versed on, but I believe it is, the site will be secured. So just as the existing facility is there on IH-37, it's really more of folks that are coming in to seek treatment. It's not conditioned ideally for foot traffic.
Okay.
And it's not like a soup kitchen or a shelter where you're having a ton of foot traffic. It's quite the opposite of that. These are patients that are receiving specific treatment.
Okay. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Sir.
Do we have anyone else who'll come and speak?
Not, but one of the items was,
State your name and the
my
address.
name is Carlos Sauceda,
Uh-huh.
and I'm concerned about Mr. Verduzco, I think was his name. I think he bought an area near my residence, and he proposed to build flats or something there in that area, and I wonder how it's going to affect me, because I own two properties right adjacent to the area that he bought. So I want to know whether he's going to buy us out or what. Now, I called the city and they never called back to tell me what they intend to do with that area. I've got a map here, but it tells me nothing. So, I mean,
So your question is, you want to find out if they're going to try to buy part of the land?
part of the areas there that are adjacent to where the lot that he bought. It's very narrow.
I can address that, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Like,
Fine.
Mr. Sauceda, I appreciate your questions. Thank you for being here tonight. The applicant is requesting to build 3 duplexes. So instead of 3 single-family homes, there'll be 3 units that have 2 homes each, so 6 houses total. They'll still be single-family, meaning they're not going to be renters. There's no special programs are part of. There's just going to be 3 duplexes. The pink notes in your hand was to cut up that long property into 3 lots to build those duplexes. He's not buying any properties around you. These are going to be quality homes, so you're not having to worry about any change to the value of your property or any change to the type of houses in your neighborhood.
That was my concern, because I thought he was going to buy us out and we'd have to
No, sir.
move out.
Not
But
at all.
that area that he bought is very narrow. It doesn't seem to me that he could build anything in there.
There'll be more, I've seen a preliminary design, they're going to be wider houses rather than deep, so they'll fit 2 on each lot.
Okay, all right. That answers my question.
And I'll give you my card, so in case you have other questions, you can always give me a call.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? If not, then I entertain a motion, commissioners. Yes, items A and B. Entertain a motion for items A and B.
Make a motion that we approve items A and B as presented by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, so on now to item number 10, which Commissioner Michael Budd will be sustaining. And staff will present that.
Good evening. Nick Winkleman, Interim Director, Corpus Christi Water, here tonight to talk about the amendment to the Water Master Plan for London Ranch Estates. LK Homes and Lynn Engineering requested an amendment to the Water Master Plan after reviewing the current master plan. London Ranch is currently generally located south of County Road 22 and west of County Road 49. The build-out will have 108 single-family lots. Their engineer has estimated a water demand of 48,600 gallons per day. The amendment would add approximately 8,300 feet of 12-inch master plan water lines. Those water lines will be along County Road 49 and County Road 22. The graphic shows the location of the master plan lines. The red are the new lines. Again, it's a 12-inch. As you can see, there's an existing 16-inch water line along FM 43. So the new 12-inch line would connect to that, and then you can see the new lines there in red. After reviewing the request with the developer and the landowner and their engineer, CCW feels that the plan is reasonable, and it'll help meet the future demands in the area. One of the reasons we're bringing this to Planning Commission now is previously the parcel was not annexed. It wasn't within the city limits, and now has been annexed. So once it was annexed, the request for the master plan amendment was made. Then we reviewed it, and here we are today. So I'm standing by for any questions, and I'm going to pull the map back up again.
So this one has me a little confused. Is this amending the old master plans, or is this amending the new master plans that we just were presented last month?
Excellent question. So this is amending the master plans that are currently effective. So the new master plans that Pate Dawson is working on, and the Planning Commission, all of you discussed, I think it was last meeting or a couple of meetings ago, that hasn't been approved yet by City Council, so it's not effective. So this is amending what's current.
So whenever those do get approved, if they get approved, does that cancel out this and all previous amendments because that is the new law of the land, or how does that work?
So what I believe would be the process, because the master plan that was presented to Planning Commission didn't have this line on it, and that makes sense because there is no way that Pate Dawson, you can never tell exactly where development is going to happen, and the property wasn't annexed at the time. So once this is incorporated into the new master plan, we would have to work with Pate Dawson and eventually get it to map out. So it's mapped out on the new master, on the Pate Dawson master plan.
So if the city council chooses to adopt the Pate Dawson master plan, the Pate Dawson plan amends the current master plan. So to the effect that it's not in conflict, the line would stay essentially.
But I thought the new master plans are, the whole point of it and the whole point of the exercise was to replace the old master plans and supersede that. This wasn't part of the study that Pate Dawson did?
I can speak to that if I may, just because we were talking about this a little bit earlier in a meeting today. So the line at CR 22 going south wasn't in ADP. So the whole the draft master plan, if you may, there's no ADP for it to be incorporated into this draft. So if you see at the very beginning, there was some minutes from the SEAC committee actually where it had the 8-inch line that was going to connect Nottingham Estates and connect out to that 2-inch. And the north side of 22 was part of the master plan. South of 22 was not taken into account. It hadn't been annexed. Like Nick says, there was no plans. There was no ADP.
Wasn't this plan already, this plat was already approved, even though it wasn't part of the city, it was still a project that was ongoing, so why was it not put into that scope of work that Pig Dawson did?
That goes back to the ADPs, since the ADPs are managed by the planning department over the decades. ADP, so and I think that the process of the master plans, step 1, ADPs, step 2, the land use that we went over, and so it all focus back to the ADP did cover that territory. It is agreed that there was activity similar to Charlotte Estates next door. It was still county at that time, outside of the city's master plan.
But they were still getting water though, correct? From the city?
Now,
Charlotte Estates?
well, Charlotte was part. This design was originally Charlotte Estates design. Yes.
And they were originally always showing a 12-inch?
They were going to do the 8-inch, which did not match the idea behind the master plans. So when we saw that Charlotte Estates needed an 8, London Ranch was looking at an 8. All the master plans didn't take any of this into account, but it did go after the principle of having 12-inch grid mains throughout the area. And so converting these two developments to, we're trying to do a master plan with 12-inch grid lines, you're going to at least match what we need as a city. And then going east from that intersection to Nottingham Estates, I believe that is going to be the next step would be to tie it in and start working that 12-inch line to the east, which would tie this entire area into the master plan. So the modification that was made when we got more details of the use and the design of these developments was to try to match it to that master plan that was in the works as best as possible. And that process of if the master plans, hopefully when the master plans, new ones get approved, all of these amendments that have been done in the middle, when all of this was going on separately, will be somehow collectively brought back to amend.
I appreciate the explanation. I just see it being a mess by adopting this before we adopt the new master plans. It seems like this should be done after the new master plans.
Several others that are similar.
Yeah.
Just because we can't hold up development, we can't stop development while we're in this 4 years of master plan developments. We have to keep going.
Right, and the Pig Dawson, remember the Pig Dawson master plan will require 2 approvals, 2 readings at council, right, and 2 approvals. So I think Bria said it perfectly. It's we can't stop. We keep following the current process, and this is the current process. The other thing I want to add, and Bria touched on, so once this line is installed, the overall plan is to continue County Road 22 to the right and connect back into that other subdivision. What's the name of that other subdivision? Nottingham Estates, and that'll loop that area in a little better too. And CCW is very receptive to that.
So this will end up not being a dead-end line; it'll end up being a loop line.
Well, so we'll carry the line. It won't be part of this project, but we'll carry the line back to the right. But to the left is going to be, I mean, you are going to have a dead end there until any future development comes up. But the 12-inch line will provide pressure and volume to meet pressure and fire requirements as well. And it won't shortchange future growth of the area.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions for staff? I want to say something. I just get a little concerned with the fact that we just went through some serious information that was put on the Planning Commission on our last meeting about the whole master plan. And a lot of us were, not a lot of us, some of us were in doubt of it, and others, we were still a little bit leery on it. and then something coming up now, already starting an amendment. I just find that this is just, I don't know if this is the beginning of something that's going to continue to happen for the rest of the year, for what we're really trying to create here on the master plan. But I'm not really at ease of the fact of we come back and now we have to amend something that we just passed. You know, I just don't feel really comfortable on what it is being presented tonight for this amendment. I'm not stating that this is not something that cannot happen. I want growth. And, you know, the bigger the pipe, I'm sure we're doing this on behalf of what the development's size is going to be. I get that. But starting off already with an amendment, I don't know.
So yeah, if I could answer that. So we're not, this is amending the existing master plan because those master plans that all of you have reviewed just previously a meeting or two ago are not in play yet. They're not approved by council. So they're not in play yet. So we can't amend those because they're not even approved. We you know, this is amending what's currently in place.
Similar to the zoning cases that were also essentially amendments to the land use plans and whatnot. So all of these items are plans, master plan, land use plan. They're always a best guess, a shot in the dark, but we don't know how development is going to actually happen. We don't have that crystal ball.
So I guess we can expect more amendments to be coming up in the future as well as zonings for the master plan.
It's a live document. There'll be considerable less of them. I think Nick's been joining us quite often the last several months because the existing master plan is so outdated. There'll be less amendments.
That's right. The existing plan that we're following right now is has been was prepared decades ago, and there's been there's a number of these amendments, and like Bria said, there's been a lot over the past year because of that. The work that Pape Dawson is conducting and the city has charged them with will alleviate that. So there'll be far less amendments. Now, we can't guarantee there won't be any amendments going forward just because it's in all of you know, so difficult to predict those areas of growth. Pape Dawson, they're the professionals and they did their very best.
Okay.
I just had one other question. So I just wanted to be clear, the Pape Dawson study did not include any ETJ areas? Because whenever they were doing the workshop, it looked like London was the, you know, one of the main areas.
That's correct.
They did all the ADP areas, the ADP boundaries, which, and this cuts off at County Road 22. The north part of 22 is part of ADP, the south is not.
So it's more based on ADP and not so ETJ.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, ETJ wasn't as much as the ADP is, because to estimate the water usage and whatnot is all based off of land use. The land use side of the ADP is, so it's all over those boundaries. More so than any city limits ETJ. That's kind of outside of.
Yeah, it just seems like we're still making a deviation from even their recommendation. So it just kind of gives, I think, some of us a little bit of heartburn.
There were recommendations, I believe, on the master plan because the Nottingham Estate side had issues. So they had the 12-inch was added in along 22. It did not go past 49, if I recall. But it did not take into account any flow or capacity numbers south of 22.
Correct.
That's the biggest, when you're determining the size of the pipe in this area, the existing had the 8-inch line because we didn't have any capacity for south of 22. So, but to that point, we're not even at this point talking about the new master plans because they're not in place yet. So at this time, we're dealing with what we've got from the old water master plans, 2000. Wasn't 9. Earlier.
It was earlier than that. But to complicate the timing is the fact that this was just recently annexed, right? So that's a whole nother time component of when we can bring these things forward.
Well, annexed or not, I was still getting water, wasn't it?
Well, that's currently, customers outside of the city limits, we're not offering new customers water if they're outside the city limits.
And I appreciate all the info. It just seems like it's convoluted and backwards, and the process is just a little out of whack. So I don't know how everybody else feels, but it's almost like they should wait until the new master plans are adopted before we start making changes like this.
The other rule of that was as you can see in the aerial where the work, the idea of the project was started when that rule changed, because we were offering water to outside the city limits with OCL water contracts. That directive was provided during all of this. So the rules kind of changed in the middle, which has confused all involved. Absolutely. Agree completely with the whole convoluted, but this is where we're following the processes to the best of the rules that are in place at the time as we go.
All right, anybody else have any questions with the staff? If not, then I'll entertain a motion.
Public hearing. I think you have to open the public hearing.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's right.
For comments.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I open the public hearing for comments on item number 10. I see none, then I close the public hearing and I entertain a motion now.
I will move that, that it gets approved as presented by staff, that the amendment to the water master plan gets approved as amended, as presented by staff.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
No for me too. You want to do call roll, Ms. Ruth?
Item number 10, approved as presented. Commissioner Mendel.
Aye.
Commissioner Salazar Garza.
No.
Commissioner Munoz.
Aye.
Commissioner McCarthy.
Aye.
Commissioner Lerma.
No.
Commissioner Hedrick.
No.
Commissioner Bud is abstaining. So we have, it doesn't, the motion fails. We have 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it fails without a majority.
Does it fail? Okay, well, then the motion is opposed. So, move. Is that it? Yeah.
There's simply no action with, if there's no, it's something, neither recommendation for opposed or approve if there's not a second.
So what happens to the,
You'll move on with just no action by no recommendation.
so it's just going to go straight to city council?
With a no recommendation from.
All right,
Can the commissioner make that?
Yes, you also have a chance to.
If I wanted to switch,
Could you turn your mic on, please?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
If I wanted to switch, then he would have to make another motion, or make the same motion, go through it again.
or something else.
I just want to change my vote. I have a motion for reconsideration. Sure, I make a motion for reconsideration.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Oh, sorry, one no. Motion passes.
May I ask who voted no? Okay.
That was my original motion.
Oh, thank you.
So we just. Oh,
Oh. So it doesn't matter.
then somebody can.
I make a motion that we deny item 10 as presented.
Do I have a second? I have a motion? No.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion passes.
Munoz and Lerma, nay? I'm talking Lerma, nay. Okay.
Oh, you,
I said nay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I did, I said Munoz. Okay, so Munoz and Montague said no. All the other commissioners said yes.
Okay.
Okay,
So the motion was denied.
so motion passes.
Yeah, the motion passes. Motion passes. The motion to deny passes.
Yeah. Yeah, you can bring it back in. Okay, so moving on to the director's report.
There's no director's report this evening.
No director's report. Any other? Anything else anybody would like to speak on behalf of tonight's meeting? No? All right, then meeting adjourned.